Hello, I'm Daniel Goh. I've been with the department since for a long time. I graduated from the department actually in 1998. Then I went on to do my PhD, came back and joined the department. So I've been with the department for about 15 years. So before I take the questions, let me just share my screen and show you two slides. I'm going to talk a little bit, just a bit to talk about the curriculum structure. All right, and the purpose, right, of how we structure the curriculum in sociology.
Okay, yeah, you can go ahead and share your screen.
Okay. All right. Okay. So this is the first and second year. All right, with some examples of the modules that we offer for those 2 years. So the first year, I mean, just like all other majors, I mean, it's mainly the exposure module, SC1101E, where we introduce you to very basic concepts and theories in sociology, that how we make sense of society. All right, so it's really just to have fun. All right, and we have other first year modules too, that are usually general education modules and Singapore society modules. They are all again oriented towards introducing concepts into specific topics. One of our most popular ones is this one, GEH 1062, Ghosts and Spirits in Society and Culture, and why is it such a universal thing that people like to tell ghost stories and talk about, spirits and believe in them. So this is just really to have fun, but also in a way to kind of introduce you to how we make sense of these kind of social phenomena. In the second year, we start on foundational modules, right, to give you a kind of solid base on how to do sociology, how to think sociologically, and to apply sociology. Right. So we have the compulsory module, the essential module, which is SC2101, and methods of social research. So sociologists and anthropologists are defined by the fact that we do research very well. All right, and the methods are really important, right, because it gives us the kind of rigor to be able to say certain things with some certainty. So in a sense of, like, saying things about the family, how family trends are going, why are people getting divorced, why are people having fewer children, and so on and so forth. So things like that. And also religious change, for example, like sociology of religion, where we talk about how people are changing from one religion to another, right? Converting, for example, to Buddhism or to Christianity, a lot more in Singapore, right? From, let's say, more traditional kind of folk religion, Taoism. So why is that so? So these are the kind of foundational modules in which we introduce you to the in a sense the primary topics that we do in sociology. All right, and the essential module is to give you the kind of solid foundation for social research. Right. Now, in the third year, all right, we move on to 3101, which is the essential module, where we teach you the more abstract kind of thinking and the social theory that we use, all right, to do our sociological analysis. Right, and that's the essential module. And then we move on to other more theoretical, more abstract topics, right, that will require a lot more, in a sense, more abstract kind of thinking. Right, so things like race and ethnic relations, urban sociology, visual ethnography, right? We talk about images and how, increasingly our world is informed by images. Instagram, for example, Facebook, even our WhatsApp, is filled with images. And what does this mean for society and our social relationships? And the sociology of life, cause, and aging, right? Why? What happens with an aging society like in Singapore, and what are the issues and complexities that are involved? So it's time to theorize, right? In the third year, and you start to think a lot more abstractly. Now in the fourth year, and that's when you kind of really practice into becoming a sociologist. Now, in the sense that we'll be encouraging you to do a lot more social research, whether it's for individual modules, honors module like 4212 social memory or 4228 making sense of violence. 4101 is the essential module here. It's like a capstone in which we kind of bring together all the experiences of the last 3 years, and also internship if you have done, and we encourage you to do internship, right, with an NGO or with a government agency, and then to bring those experiences on how you apply your anthropological thinking, your sociological thinking, right, and in the process of doing that work. All right, so this is really about practicing. And then the one of the key things that we offer is honors thesis. Right, we encourage every student to do their do an honors thesis, in which a large part of it, a large component of it is the actual exercise of doing social research, right? With a professor as your supervisor, right? So it's a very important experience that we want students to leave with, right? To graduate with, and to commence on their career, because it is with that kind of experience of doing the research that you can actually bring the kind of concrete skills, all right, to your work, to your career. Okay, all right. So let me just end the slideshow, and yeah, we can stop sharing the screen. Let me stop share. All right, and then go back to
Yes.
answering the questions.
Yeah, so thank you for that rundown. I think that's very helpful for the students who are here. So let's go into the some of our pre-collated questions. So the first one is the career paths for sociology, and how is it different from psychology?
The interesting thing is that my sister, who was junior by 1 year, right, in the university in NUS too, she took psychology, and she graduated with honors in psychology. And the career path for us very different, right? Because I became an academic, but she became she went into the HR line, human resource. So applying, psychological techniques and all kinds of testing, for personality, into managing people, right? Helping companies to manage people. So that's one that's one data point, I think, for the difference. But more specifically, I think in terms of the students that we have seen so far, who have graduated from sociology and have gone into different kind of career paths, I will divide them into 3 paths. One would be in the private sector, all right, and then second, public sector, and the third will be the NGO sector. And increasingly so, more and more students are moving into the private and NGO sector, and fewer into the public sectors. It used to be a lot more in the public sector, like it's something like 3/4, but I would say that it's becoming more like half and half. Right, half for public sector and half going to private and NGO sector. NGO sector is still quite small because the NGO sector in Singapore is quite small. But we do see students, for example, joining AWARE, and also TWC2 and the different kind of social service organizations and care organizations to help them with research and also administrative positions, right, in those organizations. But in one way, a lot of our students are not just skilled in research, but they're also skilled in ideas about how to do organizational sociology. That means how to manage people and build up an organization. So they actually use those skills for that function. Likewise, our students who join the public sector, a lot of them either go into the research and policy kind of direction, in which they go into, let's say, the policy planning divisions of the different ministries, or they go into research the units in the different ministries to bring their concrete skills to bear, but a lot of them also get into managerial kind of positions, administrative positions, in which they help to improve the organization. So I have quite a number of friends. I mean, people who graduated with me in my honors cohort, who are now, directors in the civil service and everything. I mean, basically managing departments, right, within the civil service. Now, for private sector, it's also quite interesting, because a lot of them, increasingly, a lot of people are getting into the cultural industries. So like radio, theater, museums, for example, applying the kind of knowledge and skills regarding research and also cultural research for these kind of cultural industries. The other popular choice is to go into research consultancies, to do research, for banks and for consultancies, and quite a number also get into the finance sector, because it was really popular at one point. And joining banks and the financial industries, as again managers and whatnot. Yeah, so these are the kind of career paths. Now, so it's very different for psychology, because we are very much focused on social policy research, social policy planning. We are also very much involved in, organizational kind of managerial kind of position, in which we enhance the organization. So it's not human resource. We don't get into human resource. We get into positions in which we try to enhance the organization, right? So it's a bit it's different in that sense. Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you. Oh, what kind of internship program is NUS offering in year 2 of our studies when majoring in sociology?
This one, I think Mr. Faisal will take the question.
Yeah.
Faisal, you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Hello, yes, can hear you.
Hey, hi everyone. So I'm Faisal. I'm the manager managing the undergraduate program in sociology. So essentially, we have just commenced offering the internship program for our year 2 and year 3 students in sociology, and it will take place during special term 3 and 4, which is normally during the period of May to July. So students can actually go out and seek potential internship programs on their own to propose to the department, or they can go through the Center for Future Graduates or CFG to look for placements and again propose back to us. So essentially, at this point of time, since we are still new in offering this internship program, students would have to propose to us the internship that they want to go through for the 2 semesters. And we will look through it, evaluate, and then we will inform students whether it's good to go. And we will have several briefings in between because there are submissions for assignments and reflections to be done during the internship program. So all this is done during the 2nd or 3rd year, depending on which year the student wants to do the internship program. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks, Faisal. Thanks for jumping in and answering. So now it's time for us to go to our live Q&A. So if you've just joined us, you can go to the Poll Everywhere website, pollev.com/FASS live webinar, or you can scan this QR code and it will take you there. Ask your questions, upvote those that you are interested to have answered. So let's go straight into them. First question is on SPSS and data analysis. Is SPSS used for data analysis in research in sociology?
We have been using SPSS actually for the longest time, ever since I was an undergraduate too in the 1990s. But we are also increasingly exploring cloud-based free software that's available online for data analysis. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. 2K modules. Which 2K modules would you recommend freshmen to take in their first year?
Oh, any one of them.
All of them.
because a lot of them are you know, they still have that very fun character with them, you know. So like sociology of religion, for example, and sociology of family, and you know, in a lot of ways, I think the department, the faculty members are very you know, they are very welcoming, and they also want you to have fun while doing the research and the modules. So this is an important, I think, culture in our department. So I will recommend any of the 2K modules. Don't take the 3K modules though, because the 3K modules would be you know, a lot more abstract and will need the foundation for it. Yeah.
Right. Thank you. Are there any field experiences for those who intend to major in sociology?
Field experiences. I mean, in terms of internship, I think we encourage a lot of our students to go on internship before we have the internship module, which we just set up, they will go on the AFSS internship. But now we will want them to go under the sociology internship if possible, which is a much more rigorous kind of experience that they will have, they will develop. And we would want them to look for the opportunities themselves, and AFSS will help them with looking for those opportunities, and usually it will be either with the with a civil service agency or with an NGO. All right. I think there are fewer of those opportunities that have to do with the private sector, but you know, you never know. I mean, I've known of some students who have gone on citizenship with internship with research consultancies, for example, and they enjoyed their experience, and actually they then get a job with those consultancy after they graduate. So these are the kind of field experiences. I've also known students who have joined ministries after those internships. I know, for example, one student who was with the Ministry of Environment and Water Resources, dealing with like environmental policy, how to get people to recycle more, for example. And you know, through that internship experience of over 3 months, right, he basically decided to join the ministry because it was just too fun. right? Too rewarding. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Talking about complementary majors, will a major in sociology complement a major in CNM? Or do you think a minor would be better or sufficient?
Right. I mean, I don't want to be too boastful here, but I mean, in some ways, sociology is it's almost like a mother of social sciences, except for economics. We kind of compete with them for that title, because we in the earlier stages of the the kind of setting up of social sciences as a kind of disciplinary form. Uh, we had economics, and then we had sociology. So sociology in some ways was a kind of forerunner, right, for the social sciences. So in one way, in many ways, we complement a lot of the other units in the AFSS, right? So definitely, yes, a major in sociology would complement a major in CNM, and the reason for that is because we do a lot of culture stuff. We do a lot of culture theory. We do a lot of cultural analysis. Anthropology is about the study of culture, right? But in a different way from cultural studies, but quite similar in a sense that we go in depth. We do ethnography. We study the underlying norms and cultural processes that make a society work, right? So it does complement CNM in that sense, because CNM would look at more in terms of the kind of media representations and the media consumption, and whatnot. So in that sense, you look at both, the culture, the culture representations, right, in CNM, and then you look also at the underlying cultural processes and values, and that underpin, right, a lot of these production of these representations. Yeah, so definitely a major, not just
Okay, thank you. We have a question about gender studies and about how it seems to be a module in sociology as well as other majors. What is the aspect or what is the perspective that sociology takes to gender studies?
Okay, well, in terms of gender studies, I mean, what we look at here is the social construction of gender, right, as both an identity and as practice. So the more classical kind of statement that we would have when it comes to gender is that gender is different from sex. Sex is something biological, right? And this is actually the same when we look at, for example, race and ethnicity, right? Race is more a biological kind of form of thinking, right, about cultural differences and ethnic differences, whereas ethnicity is about culture. So gender, in some ways, is similar, right? We look at sex as a kind of biological attribute and biological kind of thinking, whereas gender is more about constructions of identity. It's something that's more fluid, that can change, and it's linked to specific kind of historical and social context. So even being a female, for example, changes through time, right? So being a female in my grandmother's generation is very different from my mother's generation and from my wife's generation, right? So my generation, and it will be for my son's generation, right? So what it means here is that culture then is gender is like a cultural attribute that changes through time, and then identity construction, right? That's embedded within the social context. Yep.
Thank you. We're at 5:30, but if you don't mind, we're going to go maybe another 5 to 10 minutes and try and get through as many questions as possible. Okay, so next question, somewhat similar. So when we are looking at tourism, for example, under geography and sociology, how is that different?
Well, in many ways, geography and sociology overlap a lot. All right. For example, I teach urban sociology, which we have a lot of geography students who come and who come and take my module, and it's very interesting because the geography students tend to think in terms of space, right? The kind of spatial thinking and how the city is kind of mapped into space. So they have an image of space when they think about certain phenomena, whereas for sociologists, we think in terms of groups of people. Right. So when I get my students in urban sociology to go study anything, let's say a neighborhood, for example, the geography students will go and map out the space, and then they will locate the people in that space. And then my sociology students will go look for the people first, and then they'll map out how they went about going about their space. So it's a very different kind of approach, which actually converges in the end. So I'll say that for tourism, it's the same thing, right? The geographers will look at the spatial element, the spatial dimension first, and then move into the the social and the people aspect of it. Whereas for sociologists, we start with the people first. Like, why do people want to go do tourism in the first place? Well, what is the thrill, right? And why choose this particular tourist place over the other one? And how do these places, how these tourist experiences are constructed for them, and what are the identities that follow, and so on. So we're talking about the people, and rather than just a space. But we do end up talking about space in the end. So there's a kind of convergence there. Yeah.
Thank you. Is there a lot of math involved in sociology, especially if I'm interested in majoring in it?
There is some math. All right, because in SC2 101, you will learn data analysis, very basic ones, which is very useful. I mean, we need math in our everyday lives, all right? We can't avoid it. But it's not a lot of math, all right, because there are some topics that are more, that will involve a lot more math than others. For example, in the sociology of life, course, and aging, because it's a module in demography, in social demography, there's a lot more reading of articles that has to do with math, right? That has to do with correlation and statistics and so on and so forth. So those topics are more mathematical in that sense. So there is not a lot of math, but there is some math, and we will need you to learn some math. In any case, the department is actually a department of sociology and anthropology. We have not added a name to it yet. And in anthropology, you don't really deal with math per se, because the research method is more about cultural mapping and cultural, the understanding the ethnography, using ethnography to understand the culture of a group. So it's more about qualitative data rather than quantitative data. So if you choose sociology and the more sociological modules, then you will have to deal with the math. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Question about the foundational modules. Are all the foundational modules in your slides, are they all compulsory to take?
No, there's only one essential module every year, right? 2-101, which is the methods of social research, and 3-101, social theory, and 4-101, all right, which is practicing anthropology and sociology. So those are essential to take, and then the rest are just electives. You have to take a certain number, right, in order to major.
Okay, thank you. Do you encourage students to go for internship in year one?
No, I wouldn't, because I think, year one, you're just kind of having fun, exploring what you want to do. It's only when you're really certain that you want to major in something that you should go then do internship, because internship is about exploring and also getting the kind of experiences for your career development. So it's best to leave it after year two. So in between year 2, year 3, or year 3, year 4.
Thank you. Mentioned about anthropology. What's the difference between sociology and anthropology? And if I want to do anthropology, do I have to do sociology first?
Well, the thing now, we are a combined department of sociology and anthropology, and we have not made the majors. We don't have a distinct major in anthropology yet. I mean, we have been pushing for it. This is still in the works. So everyone is in sociology, and there are anthropology modules that are in the curriculum, right? So there's no differences in that sense. And in a lot of ways, you can try to be an anthropologist by just taking all the anthropology modules as much as possible and avoid the sociology ones, or you can be a sociologist by avoiding the anthropology modules. All right, but you also can kind of mix both, right? So there's a lot of freedom to do that for now. Yeah.
Okay. Looking at career prospects, so can a sociology degree help me to get a job in the social services sector, like volunteer organizations?
Oh yes, for sure. But I mean, you won't. It's different from social work in the sense that you won't be equipped, to be a social worker, to deal with frontline kind of situations, right? So it's more, maybe backroom organizational support kind of role or administrative role that you have to play if you join a social service sector.
Okay, thank you. Based on your experience with double major students, which major did they do with sociology? Or I guess what other major is most commonly found with sociology?
I would say almost everyone. Political science, history, geography, CNM, social work, economics too. I've seen almost everyone. I mean, in all the Asian studies. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Actually, if I just go to the second question, since we talked a bit about it. So is anthropology also a major, or can this be taken as a minor currently?
It is not a major or a minor as yet, right? So the anthropology modules, I mean, our department is, you know, in terms of the kind of disciplinary identities of our faculty members, I would say maybe about 40% are anthropologists and 60% are sociologists. We have actually come up with a plan to introduce an anthropology major because there seems to be demand for it. We're trying to convince the high ups to approve it, so that has to wait. So I think for the incoming students, you don't have that option yet to take anthropology as a major.
Okay. Controversial issues and perspectives.
Yeah.
How does this apply in sociology, or how are they handled, I guess?
Yeah, well, I mean, we're not a debating club, so we don't you know, take opposite sides and debate those controversial issues. If we do that because we want to explore the different theoretical perspectives, right, to understand these controversial issues. I'm not sure what controversial issues the question is referring to, but what we do is, because sociologists and anthropologists, we take a certain rigor in approaching any issue. And the rigor is really based on research and facts, right? So it's not about ideas per se. It's not about opinions and positions. It's about facts, right? So, for example, I've got into trouble before with some groups of people talking about LGBT issues and homosexuality. But I was coming from a sociological position, a perspective, in the sense that I was saying that, look, you know, it is the fact that there are people who identify and who feel that they are homosexuals, and therefore they are facing certain mental issues or mental problems by the fact that, you know, they are not accepted by the people around them or the groups around them or their family members, and so we need to treat these as facts. And therefore, an agency like the Health Promotion Board, for example, which is why the controversy started in the first place, was running a whole series of FAQs on it and trying to get, you know, people with this facing these issues to come forward to seek help, and mental distress help, right? So I was arguing that, you know, we should accept this as a fact, because it is a fact, right? So that for me is a sociological position. We are not taking a political position or religious position or any kind of ideological position. We're using research to establish facts and use these facts as the basis for approaching the controversial issues and perspectives.
Thank you. Okay, we're at 5:40, but I think we're going to try and just clear these last four.
Okay.
Internships, are there typical places that they go for sociology majors?
Yeah. I thought I kind of answered that, right? Because I think it's more like NGOs, for example, and government agencies, right, who accept internship, and increasingly so, I think, actually also cultural institutions like museums and galleries. You know, they've been welcoming interns. Yeah.
Along the same lines, are internships compulsory at the moment? Faisal, if you want to jump in also, that's okay.
Yeah.
No, internships are not compulsory. They are optional to students, so they can choose to sign up if they want to.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to add that internships are not compulsory, but they're encouraged, and you do kind of get a discount. What I mean by discount is that because when you come to 4101, there will be a kind of there is a component in which you have to go and, you know, do a kind of internship with an organization if you have not done internship before. Right, so you do get a discount if you do the internship, because then you go into 4101 and you can bring those experiences from your internship module, you know, for the use of that module. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Last two questions about modules. So, any popular modules taken by sociology seniors?
Popular modules. We try not to encourage popular modules so that we can spread the the load around all the different modules. I mean, there are some perennial favorites, right? Things like deviance, right? People are always interested in, you know, going deviant, right? Doing criminal stuff. And then food, right, is also very popular. At one point, in the last 15 years, religion was really popular. It was always maxed out, but it has been declining over the years. So it really depends. Yeah, so it really depends.
Okay. And a question that is a little bit similar to the one just now, but if a student wants to get a good idea of what majoring in sociology is like, is there a particular 2K mod that you would recommend?
Yeah, all of them. I mean, I mean, the classic ones are those on family, for example, and gender, race, religion. These are the kind of classic modules that all. If you look at the curriculum of all sociology departments across the world, they will offer these: class, race, gender, and religion, right? And anything to do with the city, the urban. All these are really good modules to take. Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, so it's almost 5:45. Thank you so much, Prof. Goh and the team from Sociology for joining us. Prof. Goh, any final thoughts for the students to round up really actually our whole e-orientation?
No, not really. Please go watch our videos. The videos that we prepared. We have one that has the conversation between 3 professors and the recent graduate from the department. So that will give you a kind of snapshot, of the things that we do in the department.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you for joining us. Yeah, and thank you
Thanks,
to
Mark.
the Sociology department. Thank you for joining us, guys.